name's Kalm. Your half-assed reporter, the guy on the bike. 529 West 20th Street. And we're gonna run in here to RICCO MARESCA and see if we can record a little bit of George Widener magic circles. Gosh, I think that's George right there. We'll see if we can talk to him a bit. We'll start off looking at this little suite of drawings. This is titled Untitled Cylindrical Geometry 007 2015 ink and paint on paper 11 by 16.5 inches. I first bumped into George's work, I guess it was maybe about 10 or 11 years ago at the American Folk Art Museum when they still had their building up next door to the Museum of Modern Art. And I think at that point George had kind of burst on the scene, been discovered, been received by the critical establishment. This is Untitled Cylindrical Geometry 004. And well, I'm looking at this whole suite and I'm seeing that these are all kind of dealing with this new motif of the circle. Now, maybe we'll ask George about his numerical systems. Also, I like his additional text. Or maybe these aren't even texts, maybe these are some kind of mathematical sequences that he's adding in there. This is Polemical Geometry 003, 12.5 by 13.5 inches, 13 3/4. I've been getting these little notices from Pinterest, and one of the boards was dealing with Arabic mythical mathematics, and strangely some of these things that George is doing look a lot like these 13th and 14th century Arabic illuminated pages. Okay, the time pattern cylindrical geometry orbital patterns. Okay, so we're dealing with orbits. Well, it was only, I guess, a week ago that I was down on the Bowery at Andrew Edlin Gallery, and I was looking at a show by Melvin Way. Some people call him Melvin Milky Way. So I guess it says something about the fact that there are a lot of what has been labeled outsider artists that are getting attention at some of the very prestigious Chelsea and Lower East Side galleries. This piece is titled Magic Circles 2018 Mixed Media. So I've been looking at George's work for several years, and I think it was at the Outsider Art Fair this year that I noticed that George was kind of delving into a new direction, which is this work with the circles. This is Magic Circles 2017. It's an number 169. And, well, my thought was that these pieces actually deal with kind of formalistic abstraction more than some of the...
Oh, you're James. You're James. Kalm, I know your voice.
Hi, George. Good. I'm glad to come by and see your show. Could I talk to you a little bit?
Sure.
Well, I was just saying that I saw some of these magic circle pieces maybe for the first time at the Outsider Art Fair this year. And I was thinking that I like the development because, you know, I like abstract painting, but a lot of the stuff that I've seen that you were doing before were dealing with time and ships and even cities and stuff.
Yes.
But this kind of struck me as almost like more formalistic abstraction where you're dealing with, you know, the classic circles, squares, triangles, and it seems like the color has become a little more of a point of interest for you.
Yeah, well, I'm building magic squares, and I did make them, you know, with these bold colors, so I think it comes out, you know, in that way that you can see a different sort of picture than my other things, but they're still dates, you know, and these are intended for future AI, so they can,
Boise, are you from Boise?
No, I'm from Kentucky and Cincinnati, but I'm presently in Boise because of James Castle.
Oh, well, I'm from Idaho myself. My brother lives in Boise.
Oh, really?
Yeah. You know, and I also see that you're using stamps, right? Isn't that the sun, 222? Those are stamps?
Yes, and it's like a magic square using the days of the week. They all are the same in all directions.
Okay.
Like this, and create, you know, like a 14 Wednesday. Well, you could say June 14th, the year 2001-24. You know, is a Wednesday. Or you could describe other, you know, the Wednesdays of the year 2000, for example, January 5, 12, 1926, February 9, 1623, March 28, 15, 22, 29, April 5, 12, 1926, May 3, 17, 24, 31.
Okay.
It goes on and on, you know. So
I've got one other question that I've always been interested in. Well, I was always wondering about your paper. Where do you get the paper? What do you do? Is this recycled napkins or something? Or
I used to have napkins. These are, I found a big stash of notebook paper that was old, and I've been using that. But I use all kinds of materials these days. In my past, I used whatever I could find, you know, 30 years ago. But these days, you know, I use whatever.
and you glue this together with some kind of methyl cellulose or regular Elmer's glue or something?
But I've switched to PVC because I read that it's safe.
PVC, yeah, okay. And is this just regular pen and ink? I mean, are you using Indian ink or do you use a Sharpie or some kind of
I use pens I get in the drugstore.
Okay.
And I found a pen in Asia that I like very much. Boyke Chinese pen.
Boyke, okay.
Yeah, Boyke.
And then the color is just acrylic paint, is that what you're using?
Acrylic paint. And a little bit stencils sometimes I use on the circles and stuff. And,
how long would you work on something like this?
oh, it don't take that long, as much time as you think. I can get it done in under a week, no problem, you know.
That's a lot of grinding away. Okay, George. Thanks for talking to us. I'm going to let you get back to your admiring crowds here. Congratulations. I enjoy the work. All right. Well, that was sweet. I think this is Magic Circle. They're all magic circles. This is, what does it say? 173. But again, I think I may have seen this one at the art fair. the outsider art fair. This really is just presenting the color in a much more straight ahead way. And yeah, George has even got a little variation on his blue, so he's a little more finely attuned to the color than you might think. This piece is 38 by 38. So he was saying that not only is he dealing with magic circles, but the magic circles are within magic squares. I guess you could probably Google that and find out about the theories and traditions of magic squares. This is 168. This one over here was 24 grand. Okay, and here George has got some metallic gold paint that he's using too. Well, I liked it when he said that his pens and his pencils and stuff that he buys, he just gets down at the drugstore. Yeah, I like to spend time at the hardware store, the drugstore. I think that was what Duchamp said. He enjoyed doing his ready-mades is because he didn't have to spend all of his time down at the fine arts store smelling turpentine. This is Untitled 4x4 163. Well, I'm sure we could have buttonholed George and had him explain the theories behind the magic squares, but I wouldn't have had a chance to get out and see any of the other or record any of the other pieces. I'm sure we could have been here for the next half an hour. I had a teacher at the Art Students League back in the last millennium, a guy named Knox Martin, who was he considered himself the last of the real Cubists, but he was someone that spent a lot of time thinking about the magic squares and proportion and these kinds of strange geometrical anomalies. I thought this is a nice one as far as his color goes because he's got some very nice kind of pale yellows and greens, and there's a little more breathing space in there. Okay, so this is Magic Square 5x5. Mixed media 58 by 58. So as he was saying, you could go Tuesday, Wednesday. These patterns repeat diagonally across from left to right. Actually, George has got a pretty good script that he's writing with. And there is a great quality about this this old school book pages. You know, the lined pages. Sneak into the little atrium space. Okay, so this is double 4x4 magic square, 42 by 21 and a half. Well, okay, I can sort of begin to understand the, at least the geometry of these pieces. Okay. And the idea of the squares and the repeating dates. This is probably the most impressive piece in the show. And it's got a red dot. This is by 5 by 5. And this is 58 by 58. I'm thinking these little stamps that he's using, as I stand back, they make me think of bicycle tread marks. Maybe that'll give me a motif I can use in my next series. You know, quickly we're going to come back here and look at a couple of older pieces. Okay, so this is the kind of stuff that I remember seeing yesterday, 1912, today, 2012, tomorrow, 2112. And, well, I didn't realize this before, but it looks like George uses a lot of stamps that he repeats the shapes and forms with. And, so it looks like he's got letters there for his stencils. This is a nice piece. I don't have a title. 321-00654. But I love the patina and the kind of the staining of the paper. Okay, and the number things, that's too hard for me. I can get the geometry, but the arithmetic is a little more abstract. I'm going to finish up looking at these two pieces in the hall to the office. This is 176, 10 and a half by 11 and a half inches. And George has gotten a little more pastel-y. His red has turned into kind of a slight salmon pink. And I kind of wonder what these black ellipses represent. Okay, so this is from this year. This is Magic Square 178, 39 by 39. Okay, RFSS, RSS, F, FSRS. James Kalm reporting on George Widener, Magic Circles, here at RICCO MARESCA. You can leave your comments, critiques, criticisms, reviews, suggestions, ideas. You can also like and subscribe. But As we always do, we have to thank Kate. Thank you, Kate. Thank you.